Assalamu alaikum. So on Tuesday we started the topic of parking studies. Today we are going to continue with that. And the last thing which we talked about was zoning regulations. So for every local jurisdiction, we have some zoning regulations according to which the government will specify the minimum number of parking spaces. Okay, so thanks to Nadine and thanks to Ibrahim, I got the parking bylaws for Bahrain and Dubai and Abu Dhabi and many other countries, Kuwait as well, and the IT manual as well. Okay, so these are the specifications for buildings, different buildings and facilities. So you can see, the type of land use and how many parking spaces are required in terms of the unit of the land use. For every 3 rooms, you need one parking space for hotel. You need one parking space for each 150 square meter of apartment space, or 2 parking spaces for apartments which have more than 150 square meter of parking of floor area. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is one thing, and this is right? Okay, but they don't seem to be like rates. But anyways, and then I got these rates as well, which are for Dubai. Okay, these are the parking rates for Dubai. So some explanation is given, but bit 31. These are for trip generation, for parking generation. Okay, so you can see the parking rates here. Okay. So this is for land use class 114B, which is supermarkets located in non-CBD area for Abu Dhabi. Okay, so again they are dependent upon 100 square meter of the floor area. Okay, so for shopping centers, superstores, again the rates given in IT were also on the basis of square feet, 1000 square feet of the floor area in these countries like Dubai, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi. They are using 100 square meter of the floor area. Okay, so again the concept is the same. You take each 100 square meter of the floor area and multiply with the parking rate which is given. Okay, so it is given for different types of land uses, and I've already I have for Kuwait as well, and the parking generation manual. One important thing I mentioned, that parking generation manual for IT is available for the 4th edition, but 5th edition is also available. 5th edition was released in 2019. It is also available. But anyways, the parking generation rates given in your book are according to the 4th edition. Okay, moving on. So these were just examples. Okay, it doesn't make any difference to the procedure of how we were calculating the parking spaces. Okay, only the rates are changing, right? So if I give you the rate, you multiply with that rate. Okay, there is no big issue here. Okay, then these are requirements for handicap parking spaces. So I told you earlier that the government has to specify the number of spaces required for the handicapped people as well as for loading spaces for trucks. Okay, so the rates are given again as per the unit of the land use. Okay, floor area mainly. Okay, and for any facility you must have at least one handicap space, at least one. Okay. Okay, now let us talk about parking studies and the parking characteristics that we look to collect in our study. There are mainly three things which are of interest to us, and that can change the amount of parking we have to supply, the amount of parking spaces we have to provide. Okay, these three things are duration, accumulation, and proximity requirements of parkers. Okay, duration, for how much duration a vehicle is parking. Accumulation means in a given time how many spaces are occupied, okay, by the cars. And proximity means how far the users are willing to park their car from the destination. Okay, so they will park their car and they will go somewhere, right? So how much distance they are willing to accept between them. Okay, and the fourth thing is we may also study the relationship between duration and accumulation. Okay, so parking capacity or parking is measured in terms of space hours. Okay, space hours, number of spaces filled for a specific number of hours. These are the units for parking supply or parking capacity. So vehicles which are parked for longer duration, they consume more of the capacity as compared to vehicles which are parked for shorter duration. Okay, so if you have, like for example, 100 vehicles which are parking for 10-15 minutes, then you need less capacity for them as compared to 90 vehicles which are parking for more than 1 hour. Okay, because they are parking for longer duration, so you need more capacity to handle them. So proximity, as I was saying, the distance between the parking location and the destination of the parker, the user, and depends upon the purpose of the trip and the characteristics of the area. Okay, so usually for work trips, you are willing to park to a longer distance, or you are willing to walk to a longer distance to find a parking space, because you know that your car will be parked for many hours there. Okay, so if your car is parked for longer duration, then your acceptance of walking distance will be higher as well. Okay. Similarly, if you know that the car will be parked in a safer location off street, then you will be willing to park at a longer distance from the destination as compared to on street parking. Okay, and you must have seen it many times that, you know, for on street parking, usually people prefer to park directly near the gate of their destination. Okay, and even if they have to park on the median or on the sidewalk, they do that. Okay, and same thing with the duration as well. So if somebody comes just to take a coffee from the cafe, then he will, you know, directly go near the gate, and he will, you know, he will take the coffee because it will only take a couple of minutes. Okay, so for that he will not park for any distance which is farther from the destination. Okay, so more duration means you are willing to walk to longer distance. Duration depends upon the purpose of the trip. Okay, and one more thing, if you are coming to a shopping plaza or to a shop where you will be carrying things with you to the car, then obviously you will also prefer to park near the car or near the gate, so that it is easy for you to carry the things. Okay. 1200 feet is considered as the maximum limit in this case for any type of user. Okay, 1200 means around 400 meters, around 400 meters. 75% of the parkers, 0.25 mile is the maximum limit. Okay, for 75% of the parkers. How do you know that how far a parker or a driver is willing to walk from the parking to the destination? You have to do some interview studies. You cannot know it by looking at the car. You have to ask the parker or the driver himself. And it depends upon, like we said, the duration and other characteristics of the driver himself. Okay, because he may be old or young or whatever. So you have to know his characteristics as well. So this is the result from a study in which they were trying to find out how many parkers will be willing to walk to a particular distance to get to their destination from the parking space. Okay, so obviously if the distance is 0 feet, everybody is willing, right? Everybody is willing to accept a distance of 0 feet. 70% are willing to accept a distance of 250 feet, 50% are willing to accept a distance of 500 feet. And you can see as the distance is increasing, the parkers who are willing to accept that is decreasing. Okay. And in the end, you need to find this one, right? You need to find this one guy who is willing to accept 1 mile. 5,000 feet is basically 1 mile. So you need to find this guy who is willing to walk 1 mile for the parking space. Must be very desperate. Okay, so this is the mean from the study, and this is the range of parkers who are willing to accept this much distance. Okay, so we have said earlier, it depends upon the characteristics of the area as well. So if the area is congested, that means when the population gets higher, the proximity also gets longer. People in congested areas are willing to walk to a longer distance to find a parking space as compared to people in the uncongested area. And the reason is very obvious, because in congested areas, you know, parking space will be hard to find. So your willingness to accept a longer distance between the parking space and destination will be higher. This is a study which is showing, it's basically showing that if your trip purpose is different, then the distance to which you will be willing to walk will also be different. This is what they are saying. Okay, because I didn't see any particular trend in this. Okay, so in Netherlands, you can see apart from the non-weekly shopping trips, which are way higher, which have way higher distance, I think because non-weekly means you are going there to buy very few items. So in that case, you are willing to accept more walking distance. But other cases, you can see the walking distance are very close to each other. The walk is the highest because I already told you the reason, because you are parking for longer duration. So you can see the difference is not so much. Okay, but if you talk about the Indonesian study, okay, so you can see the highest is for recreational activities. Okay, the work is higher, but the weekly shopping trip is the highest. I don't know why. Maybe they have more congestion in their shopping areas. Maybe in Indonesia, it's possible. Okay, Indonesia is a more dense country than Netherlands. Parking inventory. Inventory means the record of the parking spaces. Inventory means the record of the parking spaces. So when you are taking parking inventory, you must know how many parking spaces you have. You must know their location, like you have to record their location, where they are situated, where they are provided. Any time restrictions which are applied on these spaces. Okay, so if a particular space is available for 2 hours or 3 hours, you have to note it down. Okay, there are some spaces which are only available, or there are some parking areas which are only available for a specific time of the day. Okay, and the type of facility, the type of parking facility. Parking facilities we have learned in highway engineering course as well. They can be on street or off street. Okay, and off street can be off street parking lot or an off street parking garage. Okay, on a street means on the side of the road. Off street means it's a separate facility. Okay, it's a completely separated from the road with the entrance and a wall and everything. Okay, so it can be off street lot or off street garage. Okay. So inventory is taken manually. Okay, the observers walk through these parking areas and they count the spaces and their timing restriction, and they mark their location. Okay. In some cases, you may have some sensors which are attached to the parking spaces. For example, if you go to city center, you will see these sensors are connected with the lights. So if a parking space is empty, you will see the light. Okay, and it shows a number as well, how many spaces are empty in this particular direction, how many spaces are empty in this particular direction. So this is done with the sensors, right? So if you have sensors installed on the parking spaces, then obviously you can directly take the data from the sensors about the number of spaces and the location and so on and so forth. Okay, so they are calling them parking tags. Parking tags. So these parking tags can be used for data collection as well. Before you take the inventory, it is a good practice to do the coding of the area, coding of the location of the area, coding of the location of the area. Let me show you an example. You see this is coding. So this is the whole area. So the area is divided into 11 blocks. Okay, you see the numbers in the circle, these are the block numbers. Okay, so the area is divided into 11 blocks, and you see the coding for each block, and then in each block the sides have been coded. So this side is side number 3 for block 3, this side is side number block 1, 2 and 3, this side is side number 1 for block 5, side number 2 for block 5 and so on. Okay, side number 2 for block 4, side number 4 for block 6 and so on. Okay, and then if you go within each block, if you zoom into each block, this is a zoomed in view of each block. So you see the within each block the streets are also or the curves are also numbered, coded. Okay, so the sides are coded, and then for each side the curb space for the parking is also coded. Okay, so on side number 4 we have this parking curb, we have this parking curb. Okay, and so on. Okay, so wherever the parking space or the curb space is available, you code it. Okay, so we are talking about this sort of coding. So this sort of coding will help you in recording the parking data. Okay, so if you don't want to go with numbers, you want to go with alphabets, it's up to you, but the point is that do some coding about the location. Okay, so when I say side 1, you know I'm talking about which location. Okay, side 1 of block 2, so I'm talking about this particular location, so you must know that. Okay, okay, this is inventory recording sheet. Okay, so the area, the date, then you mention the block number, within block number the side or the curb space or whatever, you mention the further coding for each block, and then the street. Okay, the coding for the street. Okay, you mention from the top, and number of spaces for that street. Okay, so street number 1 in block 1 has, let's say, 6 spaces, street number 2 has 10 spaces and so on. Okay, so here you will mention the number of spaces for on-street parking, and if you have off-street parking in the same block, then it will be mentioned here. And you can see further discrimination here, further distinction here about public and private off-street parking. So off-street parking can be public or private. So number of spaces for public off-street parking and for private off-street parking, and then in the end you do the total for each block. Okay, so parking spaces in Bahrain they are calling them parks. In the textbook they are calling them stalls. Okay, parking spaces, stalls, parks, same thing. They mean the same thing. Okay, and in the end the person who is compiling the data will sign it, and he will put a date when he signed it. Okay, in some cases, when for on-street parking especially, it can happen to off-street parking as well, but for on-street parking especially, the parking spaces may not be marked. You know, parking is allowed on the side of the road, but there is no clear marking about the width of the space. Then you use standard width or the default width according to the orientation of the parking space. Okay, and to find out how many spaces are available along the side, along the curb. Okay, so if parallel parking is allowed, then you will take 23 feet for each stall, each park, For angle parking, 12 feet for each stall. For 90 degree, 9.5 feet, and whatever the length of the curve is, you divide it by the appropriate value, you will get the number of spaces. Okay. Parking inventory or the parking study is normally done for 8 to 11 hours of the day. When you are collecting data, you consider data collection for 8 to 11 hours of the day, and very rarely we go up to 12 hours. Okay, very rarely we go up to 12 hours. Like 12 hours is the maximum. Okay. This is the equation for calculating parking supply. Okay, how many vehicles we can accommodate? Okay, in the parking area. Okay, so we need, so P is the parking supply, N is the number of spaces of a given type and time restriction. Okay, so for example, off-street parking available for 4 hours, off-street parking available for 5 hours. So you will take them separately. If the duration for which space is available is different, then you will take its number differently than the others. Okay, you cannot add them together. Okay, so one parking space available for 4 hours, the others are available for 10 hours. You cannot add them directly. Okay, so one which is available for 4 hours will be taken as 1 into 4, and the others which are available for 10 hours, you will take their number, multiply by the duration for which they are available. So T is the duration for which the parking space is available. So if all the spaces are available for the same time, then you can just simply add them together and multiply with the duration. Okay, but if they are available for different durations, you will take each one of them and multiply with the time for which it is available. Okay. D is the duration for which parking space is utilized on average by each vehicle. Okay, so one vehicle parks there for how many hours on average? Okay, and then you have the F factor. F is the efficiency factor. F is the efficiency factor. Efficiency factor is the proportion of time for which the space is actually utilized. Proportion of time for which the space is actually utilized or available to be used. So, what is the difference between the available time and the efficiency factor? In some cases, or obviously in all the cases, the driver takes some time to enter the parking space and get out of the parking space. Okay, so in that time when the driver is coming out or going in, the space is unutilized or is considered unavailable. Okay, because nobody else, it is not fully occupied and nobody else can enter it as well at that time. So you have to subtract that time, or you have to subtract the proportion of that time to get the efficiency factor. Okay, so efficiency factor normally ranges from 0.85 to 0.95. So out of the total duration for which the space is available, the total time, 85 to 95% of the time the space is available. The remaining 15 to 5% of the time is taken in these maneuvers, in entry and exit maneuvers. Okay, let us look at an example here. We have done 11-hour study which revealed that we have 450 spaces available for 12 hours, 280 spaces available for 6 hours, 150 spaces available for 7 hours, and 100 spaces available for 5 hours. Okay, the average parking duration 1.4 hours. Okay, the efficiency factor is 0.9. So how do we calculate the parking supply for this area? Okay, so you can see the equation here. So what I have done is I've taken the number of spaces and multiplied with the time for which this space was available. 450 for 12, so 450 multiplied by 12. 280 for 6 hours, so 280 multiplied by 6. 150 for 7 hours, so on. Okay. Then divide by the duration. Duration is 1.4. I made a mistake here. So you can give me the correct answer now with 1.4. Okay. Multiply by the efficiency factor. F is the 0.9 is the efficiency factor. It is given. So give me the correct answer here. For how many vehicles this area is available? Yes. Okay, it is 5-5. This is the correct answer. So it's a very simple set of calculations. Okay, I think you should not be having any. You should not be having any troubles with that. Okay, then next thing is about parking accumulation. Parking accumulation means number of vehicles parked at a particular time. Okay, total number of vehicles parked at a particular time. Okay, so when you are observing the parking accumulation, the maximum you can go is up to the parking supply. The maximum accumulation can be equal to the number of spaces, and obviously it cannot go more than that, right? 100 spaces, maximum number of vehicles that can be parked is 100. Okay, so accumulation maximum can go up to the number of spaces available. Now accumulation depends upon the type of area as well and the population in the area. In urban areas, accumulation is normally higher because more people utilize a parking space. Okay, and you can see here there's a graph here. As the population is increasing, that means the area density is increasing. The congestion in the area is increasing, so that means you will find more vehicles in the parking area as the population is increasing, right? Population increasing means traffic demand is increasing and congestion in the area is increasing, or the density of the traffic density of the area is increasing. So that means more vehicles will be parked in the parking areas. Okay, so the accumulation will increase. Okay, and they have also shown the pattern over the years as well. Okay, so over the years you can see for 1965 it's the lowest, for 1988 is the highest, accumulation is the highest. So over the years the accumulation is increasing as well, and again the reason can be the same, because over the years population has generally increased. With more population, more traffic, more parking demand, meaning high accumulation. Then parking duration. Parking duration is the length for which the length of time for which a vehicle is parked. Okay, so obviously each vehicle will be parked for a different duration, right? So for each vehicle we can have a different value. Okay, so we are interested in what is the distribution of values, and we are also interested in finding out the average duration. We have already used the average duration in the previous example, calculating the parking supply. So they have shown a pattern here in the graph. You can see pattern according to population. So when the population increases, parking duration also increases. Population increases, parking duration also increases, but it's not a straight line. In the previous graph, you can see these are straight line. The one which I showed previously for proximity, it was also straight line, but this one is a curve now. Okay, so curve means what? For some time, for some range of the population, the duration is almost the same. For example, in this range, it is the same. Then in this range, it starts increasing. Then in this range, it increases rapidly. Okay, so for different ranges of population, the change in duration can be different. Okay, for lower ranges, it can be very small change in duration. For higher ranges, it can be a significant change in duration. Okay, again the reason can be related to the traffic demand. Okay, once you find the parking space there, you don't want to leave it, right? Because you know if you leave it, somebody else will come. So you don't want to leave it. So you must have often seen, we have done, I have done. Okay, you occupy a space, and then even if you have to go to a place which is slightly farther from that location, you will walk to that place, because you know if you take your car, then you will not find the parking space again. So your duration is longer, yeah, because you are doing multiple things by parking your car in the same place. Okay, and this is in this table they are showing the parking duration as per the purpose. Okay, you can see the effect of the population as well, but I already showed you. Population increases, the duration increases. Okay, but you can see the effect of the purpose of the trip. If you are doing the trip for shopping or business, it is lower. For work, it will be higher. For work, it will be higher. Okay, because obviously you are going to your office, you will spend many hours there. I don't know who these people are who are going out of their office after 3 and 4 hours. They must be working in a very good place. Okay, I will find out and I will shift to that place, right? Anyways, this is for other purposes, maybe for recreation, and this is the average for all purposes. Okay, so the work trips are the highest, take the highest duration. Some of you, I don't know, maybe last year as well as this year, some of you have done senior project with me in which they were dealing with the duration of the parking as well. So you can see the effect here. Okay, when you do accumulation and duration study, you have to collect data from the field. Okay, if you are collecting data for on-street parking, then you record the license plate numbers of the cars, the vehicles which are parked in the parking stalls at regular intervals. Okay, so you go to the parking area and you fix an interval for yourself that I will record the values after every 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. Maximum you can go up to 2 hours. They have mentioned up to 30 minutes as here, but in other books it is mentioned up to 2 hours as well. Up to 2 hours you can do this type of study. So you can fix an interval from 10 minutes to 2 hours according to your convenience and according to the number of spaces you have. If you have more spaces to record, then you should keep a longer interval. Okay, because like they are mentioning, you need at least 15 minutes to record the data of 60 spaces. So obviously that means you cannot have an interval of 10 minutes in this case, because you need 15 minutes to record it one time. Okay, so then you have to have a break and then you will come back again. So maybe half an hour or 1 hour, you can choose it as an interval for yourself. Okay, so how do you do it? You walk along the parking spaces, and whichever spaces are filled, you mark or you note down the license plate number of the vehicles in those spaces in a sheet. Okay, and you do it one time, then you do it again and again and on. Okay, so you will, how do you do it? You block, you walk on one side of the street, okay, and then you come back from the other side. Okay, so both sides are done like this. One when you are going, the other one when you are coming back. Okay, this is a sheet, a license plate field data sheet. Okay, so name of the city, date, who is recording it, which side of the street. So they have already done the coding, right? So they are using the coding W for the side of the street. Okay, it is between 5th Street and 6th Street. The name of the street is given. Okay, and these are the names or the given to the each parking space. Each parking space. Okay, you can again you can code them as 1, 2, 3, 4 as well, but they have coded them using a name. I don't know how they came up with the name, but this is their coding. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so on this side of the street they had 14 spaces. 14 spaces. Okay, if you are putting a dash, that means the space is unoccupied. A dash means space unoccupied. Here they are using dash. You can leave it empty as well. So empty space also means the space was unoccupied. Now each column is for a interval, time interval. So this one is for 7 a.m. This one is for 7:30, 8, and 8:30. So they are keeping an interval of half an hour, 30 minutes. So the first two spaces were not occupied at all. Third space occupied, not occupied at 7, occupied at 7:30, and at 8 a.m. again occupied by the same car, Okay, so you can see a tick here. So you don't have to record the license plate numbers repetitively if it is the same car. You can just put a tick there. Okay, and then you can see some of the ticks are given with the circle and with the TK abbreviation as well. TK stands for that it has parked for longer duration than it was allowed. So TK means it is fine. It has been given a ticket. TK stands for ticket. Okay. So it was allowed to park there for 1 hour. The driver parked for more than 1 hour, so it has been given a fine. Okay. So this particular shows that it is illegal parking. Okay, and this one also is illegal parking, maybe in terms of space or something. Okay, so wherever you see illegal parking, okay, in terms of space, the vehicle is not parked properly. But in terms of time, it is parked for more than allowed time. You can also mention it in the sheet as well. Okay, because these vehicles are not supposed to be there. Okay, illegal vehicles are not supposed to be there. So they should not be the part of the real calculation. Okay. Now, if you want accumulation for each interval, then you take the summation for each column. Summation of vehicles in each column. Okay, so at 7 a.m. the accumulation is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 vehicles. At 7:30 it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Okay. See, I have counted the tick as well because it means a vehicle. Tick also means a vehicle. So 5. So for each accumulation, you will take the summation of each column. If you want duration, then duration has to be taken for each vehicle, right? For each vehicle. So for this vehicle, it is 1 hour. Sorry, 1.5 hour. For this vehicle, again 1.5 hour. For this vehicle, only 30 minutes, and so on. Okay. So duration has to be taken individually. Yeah, as I was mentioning, record any violations in the sheet as well and mention it so that they can be taken out of the calculations. Duration, average parking duration can be calculated using this equation. Okay. So duration will be hours per vehicle. And next is the number of vehicles parked for X hours, X intervals. Okay. 1 interval, 2 interval. Okay. So as I was mentioning, this vehicle is parked for 3 intervals. This vehicle parked for 3 intervals. Okay. So you will count how many vehicles were parked for 3 intervals, how many for 2 intervals, how many for 1 interval, and they will make different values of NX. Okay. So NX meaning one number of vehicles parked for 3 intervals, 2 intervals, 1 interval. Okay. So you take each one of them separately. Multiply by the number of intervals. X is the number of intervals. Okay. I is the duration of the interval in hours. So in the previous example, the duration was 0.5 hours, right? 0.5 hours. And NT is the total number of vehicles observed in the parking study. Total number of vehicles. Okay. So some of the vehicles were observed more than one time, right? So you will not count them repetitively. You will not count them multiple times. So 713 is one vehicle. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 vehicles. Okay. So I not counted the tick signs because tick means the same vehicle. Okay. So same vehicle will not be counted multiple times. Then we also calculate another important parameter, which is turnover rate, parking turnover rate, TR. Okay. Turnover rate gives you the utilization of one parking space in 1 hour. So how many people utilized one parking space in 1 hour? That is TR. Okay. So to calculate TR, we need NT, total number of vehicles. We need PS, total number of parking stalls. Okay. Total number of parking spaces. Okay. And we need TS, which is the duration of the parking study in hours. Okay. Duration of the parking study in hours. Okay. So you can see this is another accumulation sheet for the entire block. Okay. So you can see the study was done from 8 to 3 for 8 hours, and they took an interval of half an hour, and you can see the same parameter. One important thing here is these parking spaces are provided with a parking meter. Okay, so you can see some spaces are mentioned in some other coding, and these spaces are mentioned in terms of time. So the spaces which are mentioned with time, they are basically a paid parking in which a parking meter is there, and you have to pay for each hour and 2 hours. Okay, so you can see the two coding is different. Okay, then you can see the accumulation for each time interval. Okay, for this block. Okay, in this block we have what? Yes. Okay. And then this is the accumulation for the entire area. For the entire area. Okay, so you can see the block number, and for each interval I have taken the value from the end of each column. So this is for block number 6, right? This is for block number 6. So in block number 6, at 8 a.m. 6 vehicles were accumulated. So see, not 6, sorry, 61, block number 61. So 6 vehicles accumulated at 8 a.m. So I will take the summation of each column and I will put it as a number for that block for that time interval. Okay, so you have a number for each block for each time interval. Okay, and then this is the accumulation for the entire area then. So 806 is the accumulation for the entire area. Okay, at 8 a.m. and then 900 is for 8:30 and so on. Okay, and this is for duration. Okay, so again you have to take the number for each block. Okay, so you go to block number 1. So maximum number of intervals for which a car was parked was 6. Okay, no car was parked for more than 6 intervals. Okay, so how many cars were parked for 28 interval? How many cars were parked for one interval in block number 61? 28. So you come here and you count the number of vehicles which are only recorded once without any tick sign. Okay, then if you want it for 2 intervals, then you will count the number of vehicles which were recorded twice. So you will see the number and you will see 1 tick sign. Okay, and for 3 intervals and 4 intervals and so on. Okay, so you do this for block 61, then 62, and so for each block you will take the sheet. Okay, and you will count how many vehicles were recorded for each number of intervals. Okay, now if you want to calculate, let's say, the duration. Okay, if first of all, if you want to calculate the number of vehicles, number of parkers observed, then you go to each block and you count the number of vehicles. Okay, like I did in the previous table, count the number of vehicles, and again, if they are tick signs, don't count it again. Okay, just count the number of vehicles which are recorded even for one interval. Okay, or you can take it from here as well. Okay, do the no, not sorry, here, from here. Okay, take the summation from here. Okay, so this is the summation for one interval, summation for 2 intervals, summation for 3 intervals. You take the summation of this will give the total number of vehicles as well. Okay, so either you can take it from this sheet, the parking study sheet for each block, or you can take it from the duration sheet by adding the numbers for the vehicles parked for different intervals. Okay, so both will give the same answer obviously, but if you do it block by block, it will take more time. Now let's say we have 1500 stalls. The study was done for 7 hours. 7 hours? Yeah, 7 hours. Sorry, 7 hours. Okay. They are asking us to find out the maximum accumulation and the duration and the turnover rate. Okay, and the number of parkers observed in this study. Okay, so for the number of parkers, we will simply take the summation of these values. Okay, how many parkers are observed? We take the summation of these values. Okay, so 875 plus 490 plus 308 plus 275 plus 143 plus 28, 2119. Okay, obviously I'm doing it for the entire area. 2119 cars observed. A duration. So you come here and you multiply the number with the number of intervals. Okay, so we have the duration equation, right? Nx, number of vehicles, x, the number of intervals, I is the duration, and nt is the total number which I have just calculated. Okay. Let me do it over here. 25 for one interval. 490. 490 into 2 plus 308 into 3. 275. 5. Multiply by the duration in terms of hours. Okay, for each interval, which is 0.5, divide by total number of parkers, which is 2119. How much is it? How much is this value?
1.1.
1 hours per vehicle. Okay, so each vehicle is on average is parked for 1.1 hours. Okay, then turnover rate. Okay, parking turnover rate. So we need the total number of parkers, which is 2119, divided by total number of spaces, which is 1500 for the entire area. Okay, for the entire area, 1500 given, multiplied by the period for which the study was done, which is 7 hours. How much is this? Should be individual because we are calculating per hour, right?
0.2.
0.2 vehicles per stall per hour. Okay. Then percentage maximum accumulation. Maximum accumulation. So you come to the accumulation table. You see what is the maximum value here. Okay. Maximum is 1410. 1410. Total number of spaces in the entire area 1500. 1500. So maximum percentage maximum accumulation will be 1410 divided by 1500 into 100. This is
94.
94%. Okay. So in the peak hour, the parking of the area was filled up to 94%. Okay. So I will stop here. Continue on Sunday, inshallah. If you have any questions, you can ask me. So I have uploaded about lecture, okay, next week. Please try to attend it. The tool is very useful, which he will explain. And it is not, I mentioned traffic safety, but you will see the real application of artificial intelligence as well, which is now, a very hot topic for all the engineering fields now.